But the truth is that there are so many different types of people. Not that many. You got one classification that about when it comes to understanding what's really going on and believing it and waking up to it, that'll just never believe it. They'll say, I just can't believe it, all the way, to the FEMA camp, all the way to taking the the delousing shower or the shot or whatever they'll do and put you to sleep forever. Okay, they'll go all the way. Then there are people that'll, as things start to happen, will reluctantly believe it, because it's hard to believe, and it's certainly harder to admit that you've been deceived your whole life and that everything that you knew and you thought you knew was half-truths or lies. And when you look at that, that's a really hard thing. We have very strong belief systems as humans, and we are taught this, and the globalists, these social controllers, know how to manipulate our feelings. I mean, look at these shows they put on. You see these kids that are giving their all to try to sing and do something right on, let's look at it from that perspective. But from what they're evoking is these emotions that everybody connects with. That's why when you say a movie, you don't like a movie unless you connect with the character. You don't, that's what it's all about. I mean, you have to connect. So when they connect, they leave a lasting impression from the connection. Whether it be that I like action movies or I like dramas or whatever, or in any aspect, I like whatever type of work you like to do or whatever it is. I mean, you're given these parameters, these choices, and you feel like, well, that's why I'm free. I can do what I want. But think about it. Really, can you really do what you want? No, absolutely not. They make it impossible, or very, very difficult for the average person to do what they really want. They have to go along with the system. Go through the want ads. I mean, even if the economy's good, it's the same thing. You're out of work, what do you do? And well, now it's different when the online searches and Craigslist and all these other ways that you can find jobs and jobs.com and all this stuff. But ultimately, you're going to another source to find something, and hopefully it fits your fit. But what if it doesn't? What if what you're looking for isn't out there? What if that you're just not part of the club, so you can't get in there? So it's definitely a rigged game, folks. Just like the market, the stock market. I mean, those that win when when the market is up and when the market is down. And it is false to assume that manipulation is still not going on because of this control of the central banks and of who the owners of the central banks own as corporations and who they're in league with. When you have this big conglomerate of corporations doing different things in different areas, you're selling different product lines in totally unrelated, that's what a conglomerate is, it's unrelated industries basically that they still own. When they're working together, boy, that can be pretty powerful. And that's what's going on here. And I think that primarily it's been moving towards this total collectivism probably since World War II. Network, I think, was one of the greatest examples. There's a tremendous scene that I'll play in a little bit. The audio is sufficient, you don't need to watch it, where it's really sort of drawn out and explains what it's all about. But really, you have corporations that buy candidates who will move their agenda forward. GE pays no taxes. This is what's going on. Then, when things go wrong, you can't go after GE because they got you elected. When the banks got you elected, like Obama, you can't go against the banks. You pretend to go after them, like Wachovia and Wells Fargo being caught laundering $379 billion of drug money and getting fined $160 million. That's sort of like, I don't know, You and I getting fined maybe $100, maybe a little, maybe less. You know, it's just not. It's not even a slap on the wrist. Anyway, so I'm gonna just basically take a little break here. We're just about through the first hour. I'm gonna take a small break. I'm gonna play something for you.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society, and we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. Even today, there is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by imitating its arbitrary restrictions. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control. And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed. No president should fear public scrutiny of his program, for from that scrutiny comes understanding, and from that understanding comes support or opposition, and both are necessary. I am not asking your newspapers to support an administration, but I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people, for I have complete confidence and the response and dedication of our citizens whenever they are fully informed. I not only could not stifle controversy among your readers, I welcome it. This administration intends to be candid about its errors, for as a wise man once said, an error doesn't become a mistake until you refuse to correct it. We intend to accept full responsibility for our errors, and we expect you to point them out when we miss them. Without debate, without criticism, no administration and no country can succeed, and no republic can survive. That is why the Athenian lawmaker Solon decreed it a crime for any citizen to shrink from controversy. And that is why our press was protected by the First Amendment, the only business in America specifically protected by the Constitution, not primarily to amuse and entertain, not to emphasize the trivial and the sentimental, not to simply give the public what it wants, but to inform, to arouse, to reflect, to state our dangers and our opportunities, to indicate our crises and our choices, to lead, mold, educate, and sometimes even anger.